Howdy, folks. Greyhawk 4x4 coming at you again, your resident vintage gamer. And it is Beer 30 again. Turn that around there. So, today, we are having a traditional German Hefeweizen, but it's not from Germany. It is the Sierra Nevada Kellerweiss, and it says Bavarian-style wheat. And then it goes on back to tell you that, that it's a brewed in the Bavarian style, Hefeweizen style, etc. And you have to, at least I do. This is a Hefeweizen glass. This is an authentic German Hefeweizen glass. That if you go to Germany and you order a Hefeweizen, this is the only type of glass it will come in. And this one I got. Looks like I got this one in Ingolstadt, which is a little town in Germany, in Bavaria. And traditionally, at least, this is very, it's very memorable for me because that was the very first German beer I tried when I got to Germany. Is I went to a bar on Würzburger Strasse in the town that I was stationed, and I went into a little bar and I ordered a Hefeweizen in a glass like this, and I don't know if you can see it. You can see it right there, and they serve it with a slice of lemon floating on top. Not a wedge, not a slice on the glass. No, floating on top so that you get a little bit of lemon flavor with every sip. Now, I'm not snobbish about a lot of things in life. I wouldn't call myself a beer snob because I'll drink Bud Light if I'm thirsty and it's hot outside and doing yard work or whatever. I don't call myself a beer snob, but I do consider myself a Hefeweizen snob because of that very first one that I had, which was the eye opener to the world of beer that I had never been exposed to before. And I realized, holy shit, all beer doesn't have to taste like Budweiser or Coors, you know? So when it comes to Hefeweizen, German Hefeweizen, I am a snob. And it's good. This is good. But it does not hit me with that German Hefeweizen flavor. It's hard to describe. Um, it's like a mixture. There's like a banana and a clove undertones, both of those in true German Hefeweizen that you would get on tap in a German tavern. Nevertheless, this is good, but I'm not going to go so far as to say that this is like you would get like something I would have gotten in Germany. But again, it's not by a German brewer. It's by Sierra Nevada. So, very drinkable. I will probably buy some more of this. But if I was in a store and there was real Francis Scholar German Hefeweizen and this, I'm going to get the German one every time. So, anyway, that's enough about the beer. Except I need another sip. Let's talk about the first edition AD&D campaign. This is going to be a campaign update. If you don't watch for the campaign updates, then this isn't the video for you because that's all this is going to be. Also, if you aren't caught up, you need to go back, watch the previous videos, get yourself caught up on the story so far. So, where we last left off, and I will do a quick synopsis. My character, Clevite, he had started building his abbey of the devoted adventurer, the Abbey of the Devoted Adventurer, out in the middle of nowhere, excuse me, as a respite for adventurers and travelers in between towns out, where it's dangerous, that they could seek refuge there. And when we went to visit the construction site, we found out there was some shenanigans going on. There was theft going on from a bunch of thieves, highwaymen, scoundrels, whatever you want to call them, that had ingratiated themselves with my workers that were there, and they were stealing stuff at night and smuggling it out to a camp where it was then smuggled even further away to be sold or whatever. So we had pursued them to the camp, and then we had found clues or whatnot that led us further to the main, what I'm going to refer to from now going forward as the Thieves Den, because we find ourselves at this thing that I call a Thieves Den, because that's what it is, and we infiltrate it. And of course, you could imagine the amount of traps and secret passages and all that are going on as we're trying to work our way through here. We were getting caught in man-trap situations where, or in my old Army military terms, we would call them kill zones, where we would be in a hallway and all of a sudden, there would be a pit or something that would stop our progress, and then behind us, sneak attacks would occur, and then if we jumped across the pit, then sneak attacks would occur from that side, etc. So trying to get us in a crossfire, Bottom line is, we work our way through this thing, and we end up finding the back secret exit out, and then there is an ambush waiting for us by basically the end bosses of this whole criminal enterprise, and we end up defeating them. So the long story short there is, we basically put to end the larceny that was going on at my construction site of my church and so forth, which then allowed us to move on to the next thing. Enter the next thing. The next thing was that, if you remember, we have a assassin in our group who, Clevite, my character, and he had some friction going on, because it was becoming apparent that he was serving an evil master in some capacity. And I had basically, told him, you need to make a choice, blah, blah, blah. And it looked like he was making the right choice. And so much as he had told me that. And then he comes back, when we got back down, he comes back all of a sudden and says, hey, I was summoned again by this same guy who I owe, because this is the guy who had restored his arm. The assassin's arm had been bitten off by an owl bear, if I remember correctly. And none of us were high enough level, even at the town where the church to Alcerian was. Even the clerks there weren't high enough level to do a restoration spell to restore a missing limb, or a limited wish spell or something like that. But he found this guy through his connections, through the assassin's connections. He found this guy who said, I can restore your arm, but you owe me. And so he had been doing these tasks unbeknownst to us as a group. But then he came clean, and we thought everything was good. But now he has come back and up front said, hey, this guy's asking me to do something else. And he explains it to me. And it sounds like a simple courier job where he has to go retrieve an item, and the person he's getting it from is even expecting us. So it sounds like it's merely a courier job. So I, as the cleric, decide, well, that he's not asking you to do anything evil. Perhaps we should pursue this. From a role-playing standpoint, I am thinking my character is doing the old keep your friends close but keep your enemies closer type of a deal, where Clevite is trying to find out who this evil dude is and what he's all about, and maybe this is a way to get close enough to him to investigate that. So, ulterior motive. So the last session we did, we basically traveled a very long distance to where we needed to get this thing in the mountains somewhere. And he told us it was like a giant type that was going to have this thing for us to pick up. So we get there, and ogres answer, we enter, and there's ogres in there like guards, and they're like ready to attack us, but we say, hey, no, they're expecting us. We're picking up this thing, and they go, oh, yeah, that's true, yeah. We were told somebody might be coming, so they escort us in. There's a huge room they escort us to. Walk in, there is what appears to be a fire giant and a bunch of, like, I want to say kobolds or goblins. Goblins, I think it was. And ogres, of course, and all that. And then at the far end of the room, there's what appears to be an even bigger giant type, like on a throne type of a deal. And that guy beckons to the assassin to come to him. But he says only him. So the assassin goes to see that guy. The rest of us are there surrounded by all these assholes. And then the DM says, because we're on roll 20, he says, all of you need to log out except for the assassin. And then I will direct DM you guys when it's time to join back in. Okay, so we do. Some time goes by. He calls us back in. We get back into roll 20. And all we see, what's it described to us as, we're in the same spot we were. And we see the guy, in front of the throne, this giant type guy. We see the assassin, and the assassin disappears, and the giant type guy tells the rest of the room to attack us. So we immediately think, our characters that is, I think Clevite, I even said out loud, as Clevite, I said, that son of a bitch sold us out. Thinking the assassin had sold us, had basically led us to the wolves, to our deaths, and took off. Whether my mind, he's probably got rewarded, and now he's split and left us all to die or whatever. So we start fighting, and then, as it is explained to us from the rest of us don't really know what's going on, but this evil dude that the assassin has been doing these favors for, these tasks, he apparently appeared and time stopped time, except for him and the assassin. So the rest of us don't know anything about this, because time stopped, we're frozen, we don't know anything about it, and he tells the assassin, and of course we don't have any knowledge of this, but this is out of character, of course, so I can convey the story. He tells the assassin, I didn't think you had it in you to do it, or whatever. And he takes the item from the giant type, which we think was a titan, or was a titan. So this bad evil fucking god type dude. And remember, this is the guy who way back, if you've been following along, he's from the very beginning of the campaign when we went to go get some materials out of a cave or something, and we met a crazy gnome who was, quote, trying to capture the sun. And we're watching him, and all of a sudden it appears, holy shit, he might actually be capturing the sun, because it started getting dark and all this shit. And this evil dude showed up, and he just went over to this crazy gnome, and he just, with his hand, he just crushed the dude's head. That's how powerful this dude was, with just one hand. And this gnome was freaking powerful, because he was capturing the sun. And so this is the same dude. So now he has come and collected that from the Titan. Everybody's frozen except for the assassin and the evil dude. Which I think he went by the King of Darkness or something like that. And he says, I knew you didn't have it in you, or whatever. And so he like snaps his fingers or something after he takes the item. The evil guy snaps his fingers, and the assassin's arm disappears again. the one that he had restored. Boom, it's gone. And then he says, he just starts time up again and disappeared. The bad guy just disappears, starts time. So now the assassin is there. But what we didn't know is he had taken a invisibility potion. So even though he's there, and now his arm is missing, he's still invisible once the bad guy starts time back up. He's standing right between the throne and this Titan dude or whatever. And about this time, the druid in our party decides he's going to cast stone to mud or something like that. Yeah, it's like stone to mud or something. It's a spell like. Anyway, so it's a stone floor and everything, and he's a high level druid, so he's able to turn a whole bunch of it to mud or whatever, and it's successful. The throne, the Titan, everything goes down into this, starts sinking in this mud and everything, and the assassin as well, because he's invisible. We don't even know he's there. So that all sinks down, which helps us win the battle because there was a shit ton of them, and quite a few of them sunk in the mud or whatever, and it helped us. So we end up defeating everything. And then mid battle or something like that, the druid is like, okay, now that they've all sunken in, I cancel the spell, which basically turns it all back to the way it was, to stone, thus entombing anything that had sunk down in there, entombing it in stone, including our assassin friend. Or friend, group member, I guess, so we finished the battle and everything. The assassin, from his standpoint, he sees it all go dark because he basically dies inside that entombed hole where he's been encased now. And the DM tells him, you wake up, all of a sudden you're in a field, a wide open field, right outside all of our hometown of Varden. And you see a beautiful female in white and another beautiful female all in black. And he says it's apparent to you that they are representing lightness and darkness. And they appear, and at the same time you look up in the sky and you see a rip in the sky. And said evil dude who basically this guy that our assassin friend was working for, he is coming through this tear in the sky, leading an army of demons and all kinds of foul beings, as it's described to us, that are pouring through this rift out of the sky down towards the town of Varden. And these two females are there now, and they tell our assassin friend, Cal, they say they have a set of scales, and they hand it to the scale symbol. And they hand it to him, and they say, you must break the scales and for our help or something like that. And he understands that he has to, and he only has one arm, but he has to somehow break this thing as a symbol to them that he is accepting their help or whatever. Now here's the kicker. The scales symbol is my character's symbol of the Church of Alcerian. The church that anybody that worships Alcerian, that's their symbol, is the scales. Alcerian's symbol is the scales. So he manages with one arm and his weapon and everything to break this thing. As soon as he does that, the two females do something omnipotent and snap their fingers, whatever, and they cause said evil dude, it's coming through the rift, they cause him to fall to the ground and die. Like they killed him, like instantly, like that. They're that powerful. And all of the creatures or whatever are gone, they basically fixed the problem like that. And they said something to the effect of, what an idiot he is, or something like that. I mean, now he, as powerful as he was, they dismissed him with a blink, with a snap of their fingers, whatever, fucking Thanos, And so the assassin's watching all this, and he's dumbfounded. And then they say something to the effect of, I guess we need to go wake up our sister, the Empress. So we have no idea who they're referring to as the Emperor, who the hell that is. If she's more powerful than them, what the hell, you know? So we have officially gotten high enough level to where we are really tinkering in God stuff now. Like this evil God, and now these two, and whoever the hell the Empress is, and they had him break the scales, which is symbolic of perhaps maybe denouncing my God of Alcerian, which could be. And then as they leave and they walk northwards, which is also noteworthy, and I'll tell you in a second why. His arm comes back. They restore his arm for him, and they start walking north, which is weird because anything north of Varden in our previous campaign in this game world, in our 3.5 D&D 3.5 campaign that we did, same DM, his game world, it's his homebrew game world. Our previous characters in that campaign saw the rift in the sky. Nothing came out of it or whatever, but the rift was there. And at one point, something weird did happen. I don't remember it being like an invasion coming in or whatever, but something did happen. I do remember that from the previous campaign. And but nothing going north of Varden was just ocean or a sea, a lake, something, a body of water, and it was called the Waters of Amnesia. And if you traversed it or if you went into it or whatever, you forgot everything. Like it wiped your memory or whatever. So the fact they're walking north towards the Waters of Amnesia is noteworthy. And the Empress is apparently in that direction. Whoever the Empress is. But anyway, that's kind of where we left it. So he comes back to us. So they fix his arm. He restores his arm. Boom. He just shows up. Boom. He's there. And he explains everything that happened, that basically when he got called to the Titan said, hey, I've got this piece for your master that he wants. But in order for me to give this to you, you need to help me kill your friends. And of course, we don't know any of this because we were logged out. We were not privy to any of this. And he lies to the Titan and says, yeah, sure, no problem. Let's do it. So then but we come back in from being logged out, and that's when we see him disappear. What he did was he lied to the Titan, and then he took an invisibility potion because he was going to try and assassinate the Titan. But the stone to mud thing fucked that all up. He didn't get a chance to try and assassinate him. He got killed instead. But you could see where we had no idea. We thought he sold us out. We had no idea what was going on. So it was very interesting how everything unraveled. And the way we left it was, he comes back to us. Poof, he comes back and explains everything to us, that he was in the hole and he thought he died because everything went black. And then he saw these women. The only thing he didn't tell us was the part about breaking the scales, because he didn't know how my character would take it. So that's kind of a synopsis of what happened last time. And we're playing tonight. I have no idea what to expect now. It's delicious. I'll give them that. But it's not quite, they don't quite have the recipe down. I mean, and of course they want it to be their own. So I don't, I don't think they want it to be exactly how, what I remember. But I have had, since, being back from Germany in the 30 years it's been or whatever, I have found other Hefeweizens that did have that same flavor pattern, palette to it. No, this is a thumbs up. I would buy it again. Tell me what you guys think about Hefeweizens, if you guys like them or whatever. Also, tell me how you feel about the lemon in there, because to me, that's absolutely the perfect way. Summertime, it's hot out, refreshing Hefeweizen, which I normally don't drink my beers ice cold, but I do drink in the summertime. I drink my beers ice cold because it's hot and I'm thirsty. But the lemon gives it an extra, pop, and 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 it's more refreshing with the lemon in there. So, tell me what you think, guys. Let's see. Oh, you may have wanted to know. So I'm back to. You guys, if you've been following me for some time, you know that I am in the middle of cataloging my whole collection of all my role-playing game stuff, and I have to get all this stuff out to do that, and it takes up the whole table and everything. But because of COVID, and I'm one of the YouTubers that'll say COVID because the rest of them won't say it because they'll get demonetized. Ha ha! I'm not monetized anyway, so don't give a shit. COVID, COVID, COVID. But because of that, we're not playing here anyway. So I figured, what the hell? I'm just gonna, in my spare time, I'm just gonna keep doing my cataloging and inventory and all that stuff. So that's why everything looks the way it does. So anyway, guys, that's it for this one, and we will catch you on the flip side.